So here's the thing. With science usually comes some kind of maths. And as you go through this S3 biology course, you're going to have to pick up a couple of different skills that you've probably already done in maths, but apply them to this biology course. So the first thing we're going to look at today is calculating a percentage, and you'll definitely use that this year. And if you go into take biology in S4, lots of percentage questions are going to appear. So some of you may be totally fine with percentages, some of you may not have a clue. So this video is a very quick run through of how to calculate percentages, in particular in a biology context or in a biology lesson. So first of all, what do we mean by percentage? So when we're using percentages in science, the main use is to be able to compare sets of data, so numbers, in an easy way. If you think about when you sit all your science tests, for example, in S1 and S2, it was easy to compare how you've done in each test when it was your scores were in percentages. So you could see, say you got 75% in your first biology test, and then you got 22% in your next chemistry test. It's easy to compare the difference between those two numbers. If you had said to me, oh miss, I got 16 out of 80 for my chemistry test, and then I only got 5 out of 20 for my biology test, I have to do a bit of thinking to think which one of those test scores are better. But if you just tell me straight off percentages, that's an easy way to compare numbers. So you're going to have a go today at calculating percentages in a variety of types of question. So there's two kinds of questions or calculations that you're going to have a look at. First one is kind of what we spoke about already. So if you get your test mark back, you can calculate the percent that you achieved in a test with a calculation. So easiest way to do this, and I will add, I'm not a math teacher, but this is how I would teach you in my biology classroom. You would write out the sum like this. So we're looking at 37 divided by 60 times 100. Now, when you do this in your calculator, I would do it as a two-step process. So the first sum I would do to figure this out is 37 divided by 60, and then I would write down equals, and it's going to give you 0.61, and there's going to be lots of sixes. And then the second sum you want to do is take your 0.61666 and then times that by 100, and that is going to give you 61.666. Now, that number there is not your final number. What we do in biology is we round up to the nearest whole number when we're talking about percentages. So your final answer in this case, and we've got 61.666, so we want to round up to 62%. So if you got 37 out of 60 in that test, you achieved 62% as your answer. So that's the first kind of question you'll get. So it could be you've got a number out of another number, what's that percentage? And use that two-step process to calculate your answer. The other type you might have is it will ask you, for example, what is 30% of 80? Okay, now, easiest way to do that, so if you think of 30%, percent means by 100, so it's 30 out of 100 in terms of your 30%. So you would write it down as 30 divided by 100 and then times by 80 as your sum to figure out this problem here. Again, you can do it in two steps. So step number one would be 30 divided by 100, which is going to give you 0.3. And then step two, you would do 0.3 multiplied by 80, which will give you 24. So your final answer there, so 30% of 80 is 24. I mean, it didn't need to do any rounding in that example, it was just a whole number it gives you in your calculator. So that's a kind of simple example. For a more kind of biology based example, as my zooming was all over the place. So the question up here, it says in a herd of 200 cattle, 2% had brown spots. So how many cattle had brown spots? So it's asking you what number of cattle had brown spots in this herd. So first thing that can sometimes be useful is to actually highlight the information that you need. So in this case, we need to know it's 200 cattle and we want to calculate the 2%. So you will take, for your sum here, 2 divided by 100. This here represents that 2%. You will then multiply that by 200. And again, you can do a two-step sum. So you can do 2 divided by 100 equals 0.02. And then in step 2, you'll take your 0.02 and you will multiply that by 200. And that is going to give you an answer of 4. So 2% of the 200 cattle will give you 4 cattle with brown spots. So, 2 types of questions you'll be asked. 1, calculate the percentage from 2 numbers that you've been given, so like 36 or 37 out of 60. 2-step process, follow this example here. The other one will ask you to perhaps calculate the number from a given percentage. So in this case, we wanted to find out 30% of 80. 2-step sum, follow this process. If you've got a wordy question, highlighting the information might be helpful. It's up to you. But again, take the information out you need, maybe do a 2-step sum if that's what you need to help you get through it, and you should find your final answer. So, hopefully that is useful and it makes a wee bit of sense. If you're really stuck with these questions, feel free to message me on Teams or email, I don't mind which. And you'll see today there's some tasks uploaded there for you to have a go. So, take care. Happy percentage calculating, everyone.